and gentlemen, this is the Nighthawks, and we're bringing you a special preview of Green Room, the latest film from filmmaker Jeremy Saulnier, who has thrilled audiences with his Blue Ruin not too long ago. Saulnier reteams up with the lead from Blue Ruin, Macon Blair, in this punk rock siege movie. The film follows a punk band, the Ain't Rights, on the tail end leg of their tour. Living out of their van, the group travels from venue to venue with siphoned gasoline and booking concert dates through old-fashioned networking instead of relying on social media. The Ain't Rights are the classic in-it-for-the-love-of-the-music types and aren't interested in fortune and glory. Reluctantly, they take a gig in the Pacific Northwest, knowing full well that the audience will consist mostly of jackbooted neo-Nazi thugs. The audience is not their ideal, but the price is right, and they desperately need cash to get home. However, when the band members become the witnesses to a murder in the club's eponymous Green Room, they find themselves trapped inside. And on the other side of the door is a group of skinheads who would prefer the band of witnesses to disappear. They try their best to make that happen. Matt, I loved every inch of this movie.
I loved every inch of that gorgeous synopsis.
So you were a fan of this movie. We caught it at Fantastic Fest, but it's in limited release currently, and I believe it will be opening wide next week.
It's like explaining to someone, like, why should they check out a hamburger at their local diner when they have had plenty of McDonald's before? Like a synopsis doesn't do Green Room justice. It's just extraordinarily real when you're watching it, particularly in the violence department.
Yeah, the violence on screen is pretty brutal, and I think might actually turn a few squeamish viewers off, and that's fine. If it's not your bag, it's not your bag. But for the people who are into that kind of thing, I think this movie is a godsend.
You know, I almost feel bad that I mentioned the violence up front, because it's not a movie about violence. It is a movie that accurately depicts violence, which is in its own way kind of worse. I don't want to describe it in a way that makes it sound like another wrong turn, rednecks run amok thing. I also don't want to describe it in a way that makes it sound like Dostoevsky either. It's a nice, contained little bottle movie. It's just very well drawn. Very, dare I say, it's artisanal. It's an artisanal violent movie.
I think there is a lot of artistry on display. I think Jeremy Saulnier knows what he's doing. This is his third film. His first film was a black violent comedy. His second film was a very brutal, violent, you called it a Faulknerian noir. Here, it's more of an action suspense thriller, and it is a bottle movie. And the setup is grand. And, you know, on top of it all, we've got a wonderful cast as well. Macon Blair was damn near Oscar-worthy in Blue Ruin. He does a good job here. We've got Patrick Stewart, who is terrifying as the leader of the Skinheads. We've got Anton Yelchin, who people will know from the new Star Trek franchise as one of the bandmates. And then we've also got Imogen Poots as a bystander that kind of gets swept up in the action.
I felt really there while I was watching Green Room. It was very transporting. It takes you over. We have this star turn by Patrick Stewart as the bad guy. You know, we say the phrase sense of place on here a lot. The place that these people are is lost in the woods. Like they're dealing with some people that they should definitely never have dealt with.
You know, I was never a punk, but I was punk adjacent. I knew a lot of punks. I went to a lot of punk shows. All of these characters, from the skinheads onto the main protagonists, are all drawn from whole cloth. I have met these people. These people exist.
The situation just felt so real and plausible to me that right away I was pretty into the movie. It's strange to me to watch a movie where violence is treated with gravitas and it's still fun.
Yeah, that is something we should mention. There is fun to be had watching this movie. It's a dark fun, it's a gallows fun, but it's present and it's there.
I mean, Green Room, people looked away during some of the sequences, but it never has that feel of, you know, when you watch a horror movie, and this is something that I've had to deal with in terms of adjusting my sort of expectations of horror. You watch a gore-based horror movie, and a lot of time people will be amused by a gore sequence. They'll laugh because there's an element of sort of slapstick in it. And this is not. It's almost more like you're watching news footage or something. Like it's just shot so matter of factly and so different. Other things using these types of devices. So it's just as iterated as the plot seems. it's just very original when you're actually watching it.
Well, and it also aids to help in the suspense, too, because there is no clear winner in this. There is no guaranteed happy ending. You're not sure how this is going to turn out, and the stakes are high right from the get-go. So I think that helps as well.
I hate to keep beating the same drum, but I just... What I want to tell people is that if they invest their time in this, they will get a different experience. Like it felt so original while you were watching it that I was just very, very taken with it.
As was I. So that's the word from the Nighthawks Cafe. That's it for us. We're going to sign off because it's almost morning.